Okay, so the Design Portfolio Review has a dedicated website, and that URL is designreview.risd.edu. Everything that you need to know, a lot of what I'll be covering tonight, is on this very site. So instead of using the Career Center website, which has a lot of other great stuff, Design Review is just focused on the event, lean and mean. Our agenda for tonight. This is the overview. I'm going to go through the participating companies that are taking part in this tonight. We're going to talk about how to apply for reviews, how to meet with reviewers, how to conduct those meetings, what to expect during a review, what to say, questions that you can ask, why following up after the event is so very important, and we'll get into questions and answers, but of course we don't have to wait until the end. Any questions that you've got, just let me know. So why are we all here? Well, it's the same reason why all of these companies line up to pay for a registration for a chance to meet with RISD students. They're all here for you, and you're here to meet with all of these awesome companies. And the main feature of our website that you can use is the participating companies page. So it's the same URL, designreview.risd.edu/2024. That will show you all of the companies. And we use this kind of guide and that's on this page where you can see the company name with the URL to the website, so you can get a taste of what the company has to offer. We also use the major abbreviations under each company. Now what this is about is when the company registers for this event, we ask them what majors they're interested in. And we give them the whole list of majors with descriptions from the .edu site. So this is what they're looking for, or who they're interested in meeting with. Now we'll get into this a little later, but this is used as like a suggestion. These companies have been told that anyone from any major can meet with them if they decide to, and if they're able to. So if you're in one major but you're interested in the work of another major, like maybe you're in painting and you're interested in checking out a graphic design company because you've got graphic design skills, totally up to you. No one's checking to see what major you're in or anything like that. Okay? And since I just talked about eligibility and majors, I should also mention, this is pretty obvious, but this event, the Design Portfolio Review, is eligible for juniors, seniors, fifth year undergrads, and then any graduate students. So if there's any first years or sophomores in the audience, totally cool that you're here. You're going to learn some valuable skills for next year and for your professional practice now. But this event is reserved for juniors and higher and grad students. Let's talk about how you're going to apply to reviews, how you're going to participate. But before we do that, let's cover some terminology. So we're talking about certain terms in Artworks, the platform that we use to manage this event. And so it's good for us to know what these terms mean. So on-campus interview, or OCI, you're going to be seeing this a lot. This is like the tool that we use for our portfolio reviews. So whenever you see OCI, you should be thinking portfolio review. When we talk about an interview time slot, this is not a job interview or an internship interview. It's just a vehicle for us to use for portfolio review time slots. And then if we say apply to an OCI, so on-campus interview, there's a couple of things that happen when you apply to an OCI. One thing that does not happen is you are not applying to a job that has pressure associated with it. This is just participating in the review event. So when you apply to an OCI, you're requesting a portfolio review. That's the way that you do it. And the other thing that happens that's like an added benefit is that every application that goes into the system, you will end up having a resume sent off to the reviewer whether you get a meeting or not. That's a huge advantage to the company, and that's also a way that we facilitate the best means for you as students to connect with companies. So there is a feature that we're using this year. It's called an OCI application lottery. So portfolio reviews are very popular, you may have heard. They're very popular with students, and the lottery is intended to reduce stress as part of this application process. The lottery will balance the distribution of all student applications with meeting time slots for all companies. So it really is like when you think lottery, that's what it is. You're applying to participate in a lottery for time slots.
If you have certain companies and you like really extremely want to see, is there a way in which you can make that request? Or is it just complete lottery like?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You know something, we are actually gonna get into one thing, so a little preview. There is a ranking feature when you're making these applications, and I'll be showing that. So yeah, absolutely. Good question. So apply to OCIs, again, on-campus interviews, and those are portfolio reviews. So in this process, you're going to apply to any OCI of interest to you. So you'll be given a 2-day window to apply, and your application can happen anytime in that 2-day window. There's no advantage to applying early. There's no harm in applying late within that 2-day window. It all takes place during that 2 days. Now, if you're looking for ways to increase your chances to get a portfolio review, you simply would increase your applications to companies that you're interested in. When you apply to an OCI, it does not guarantee a portfolio review. It is a chance to get a portfolio review. And as I mentioned before, and just to reiterate, any applications and resumes will be sent to the companies after the event for future networking. So let's look at this application process. Like, this is what it's going to look like. You will click on OCI and job listings on the left. Then you'll be clicking OCI at the top. These company listings, by the way, this was back when we didn't have any registrations, so we just made up some fake listings here. So we do not have NASA participating this year, just for what it's worth. And let's say you choose an OCI that you want to apply to. It opens up a panel for that OCI or that company, and you can hit the Apply Now button. Now, when you hit the Apply button, and this will happen for the first time for sure, you'll be asked to select a resume. So if you don't already have a resume loaded in your profile, you'll need to upload one, and it's very easy to do so right in this view here. Some of you may also have multiple versions of resumes or CVs that you may use for different industries or different situations. Totally cool. It'll show up in that pull down. So you'll be able to select the appropriate resume for your application, okay? And then when you successfully apply, you get this pop-up message that says congratulations. So yes, you know that you applied. From here, you'll want to go back to the OCI listings on the left to add more applications, right? So let's say you've got 5 companies that you're really interested in. You'll be doing this loop 5 times to apply to each of these companies. But when you're done applying to the companies that you like, then you're going to do this ranking process. So each application will have the resume as a requirement. In your resume, you can have a link to your portfolio, which would be great. We do have an optional field for a portfolio sample. You don't have to put in a portfolio sample, but if you have one and you want to provide it, you can. And we'll also have an optional field for your portfolio URL. But really, if all you're applying with is a resume with a link to your portfolio, you're good.
Is there a limit to applications?
Is there a limit to applications? Yeah, so there is not a limit to applications. But if we think that through for a second though, if you were to apply to companies that you're not actually that excited about, you could actually end up getting a portfolio review with them. And through this process, if you get a portfolio review from the lottery, the expectation is that you will follow through on that portfolio review. So you've done all of the applications that you want for companies that you're interested in meeting with, and now we want to rank. And so this is what it looks like. And for a quick explanation, your rankings of your applications will be one of the factors in the lottery. So to rank your applications, it uses click and drag as the tool. The highest interest will go at the top, lowest will go at the bottom, and we'll show what that looks like in a screen recording now, okay? So you'll click the ranking option at the top of the screen, where it's pointed out there. And then here we are looking at the list, and we can sort by clicking and dragging. We can also notice that there's a column just to the right of these OCIs for ranking. And so to highlight that a bit more, there's the column for ranking that indicates how you've done it. Highest rank is at the top. Pretty simple. Now you can go back and edit this if you do your applications on one day and then you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, you know what, I should really shuffle this order around. No problem. As long as it's within the 2-day application window, you can adjust this as needed, add applications, remove applications, all good. But once that window closes though, it is really set, okay? So now one aspect of this is like your availability. We don't want this lottery to run and have it schedule you during something where you've got an obligation during design review, right? So there are ways to limit your availability in the system before the lottery runs. So you can add any schedule conflicts to your availability calendar in Artworks. I'll be showing you that in just a second. And if you have portfolio reviews that take place during class time, you need to get permission from your faculty to leave class. So if you've got like one portfolio review during studio that runs 15 minutes, that might not be the end of the world for you to just like duck out of studio, have your portfolio review, and get back in there. But just run everything through your faculty. And so here's what this looks like. In order for you to change your availability, you'll go to OCI and job listings on the left-hand side, and you'll click My Interview Availability at the top. You'll move the calendar over to March 13th, obviously. You can click in that day for March 13th, and then you can add an obligation that you have. And it's got like different features like what type of obligations you have. So here I'm making believe that I've got like a class during this time frame that I don't want to miss. And once I've booked it, the blue block goes in place, and the lottery will now avoid that time. It will not be booked during that time. Now, you will notice that there's a very similar view of your calendar by going to My Calendar on the left. For whatever reason, you cannot book time commitments using that link. So if you think of it as the label says, your interview availability, yep, that's what you're booking. It's right at the top. It's not your calendar, okay? Yeah.
So, question about the lottery process. Is it so we apply to a job, we apply for that lottery, And then for every time slot, there's a chance that we might be selected for that time slot.
That's correct. So for a given application, like a given company in OCI, right? There may be, this is the common scenario. We've got schedules that have 18 potential time slots. For companies that are, notable or popular, they may get double, triple, quadruple that amount of applications. So there's only so many times to go around. And so this system is able to take all application pools and look at different factors such as how you've ranked it, your time availability, and then it looks at the applications across the entire event and just does its best to distribute these times evenly. So that's the long answer. The short answer is you're putting in, it's just like, buying a lottery ticket and then you are entered in a lottery. Or when you do like a housing application and you're entering a lottery for housing. It's just one of those ways to keep the process, to distribute the odds, to distribute the chances. Thanks for the question.
So during the application process, is there any way that we can mention sort of the job position that we're looking for? Because I'm in the grad school and already have some professional experience. What if we are not looking for an internship but more of a senior level job?
Right, so because this is a portfolio review, like the nature of it is a portfolio review, it is not a job interview. So in anyone's situation, if you're signing up to be a part of this event, you're signing up to get feedback on your portfolio, priority one. Now, in reality and in practice, there are some companies that do have positions that they're looking to recruit for, but that's really like an added benefit for them.
I was just wondering if these companies already have expectation of the level of position that these students are looking for, or they're more open to any kinds of job position, or if they just want to talk about the works and make the works.
Oh, thank you so much for that question. That is an awesome question. So the direction that we give employers, or I shouldn't call it, we're not calling them employers, we're calling them reviewers. Pardon me. The direction that we're giving reviewers is that they're here to offer their professional expertise and to give perspective, right? So they can give you feedback on how to improve your presentation or what other types of work to represent in your portfolio if you are interested in them as a company or their industry. So this is a rare opportunity to actually get feedback, which you normally never get in a job interview. So that's the direction that we give companies. It's a spectrum, really. Like some companies may be more in tune to their recruiting needs, and some may be really open to doing the portfolio review as it's really intended. So you're going into this situation, and this is like a professional situation where you're going to need to manage this conversation a little bit, You're going to need to, in some ways, try to be proactive with the agenda. Like, hey, I've seen your company and I'm interested in these aspects of your work, and I want to show you these projects that I have that I think are relevant to the work that you're doing and get your feedback. That's a very good way to be assertive and take part in these portfolio reviews. Thank you for the question. All right. So when do you get the results of this lottery?
Jason, sorry, more question.
I was just wondering, for the actual review section, is there a limitation for how long we can present our works? And then for the actual reviewing that they do?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So the portfolio reviews are 15 minutes long, and they run back to back from 12 to 5. It will go by very quickly, but this was also the best balance for us to find where it would allow companies to get enough students on a schedule. If it starts to get longer than that, then it really feels like it's going a little too long for the nature of this kind of an event. Thanks for the question. Alright, so for the results of the lottery, they will be completed by March 8th, and you'll be getting them on March 8th, on Friday morning. The way to, you'll be notified by email of these assignments, and you can also find all of these assignments in Artworks. So here I've got a view where you can go to my calendar for March 13th. We can see that time block that I had put in here for a class, and then we can see that 15-minute blue blip under that. That's one of the portfolio reviews, and I've clicked on it so that you can see it here at the top. And so the portfolio reviews happen in this window, 12 to 5, and there's your portfolio review with this company. Yeah.
Is the ranking process going on right now?
The ranking process? Oh, the application process will be opening on Tuesday. So that's gonna be next week, Tuesday the 5th. And it opens at 9 a.m. And it closes on Wednesday, the 6th at 11:45 p.m. Just before midnight. So all applications will be sent to the company with your resume for future networking, and companies are strongly encouraged to welcome your outreach after the event. And you can view the employer directory for possible contact names and sometimes email addresses on by going to the employer directory in Artworks. Here we can see all of these applications that were made in this test demonstration, and these applications will be going to these companies post-event. And if you want to look in the employer directory, you can click on the left at employers and look at the companies that are in the employer directory. You could actually do that even now if you chose to. So this is a view of last year's list, 2023. When the event is over, it will look just like this for 2024. And so there'll be a link at the top where you can click to see the company representatives' names. And that'll be appearing after March 13th.
I'm sorry, could you quickly go back to the slides?
Absolutely.
A picture of the one. Yes, this one. Amazing.
Of course. And we'll be sending out the recording of this after the event tonight. And this OCI application lottery guide is actually also available. The deck is available on our website as well. So that is the application process, and that took up a lot of time, but wanted to make sure that that was really clear. Next, I'd love to go into the aspects of participating in the portfolio review. So, one way to consider your preparation is to prepare your pitch, so to speak. And some of the things that you can think about with your pitch will be your career goals for this year, any of your key skills or passions. You want to practice your pitch with friends in studio, get comfortable with talking about yourself and your work and what your goals are. And be prepared to ask good questions and just to try to be yourself as much as possible when you get into these situations. This kind of preparation is the same exact process that you would use for getting ready for a job interview. So it's a great, realistic, endeavor. When you're meeting with reviewers, you'll be using a video conferencing solution that is provided through Artworks, our platform. And this is also new. If anyone has participated in this event before, you won't need to view different platforms such as Zoom or Microsoft Teams, depending on the company's preference. Everything is unified through our system. Thinking about how your presentation is and what to wear. You just want to express yourself and show that you care. And many people are very accustomed to Zoom etiquette, and in this case, we won't be using Zoom, but it's very similar to Zoom. It goes through artworks. Just making sure that you've got a solid internet connection, that you don't have a noisy environment that you're in, and that you can focus without distraction, and you can be seen on camera. So a good way to approach this, because each review meeting that you have, and this could also be the case for a job interview really, each meeting that you have with a reviewer, you never know exactly what to expect, so it's good to be prepared for anything. You could, as a courtesy, you could ask the reviewer how they would like to proceed. Would they like to look at your work, or do they want you to present your work and you take control, or do they want to ask you questions and make requests for certain pieces that they want to see in your portfolio? And as you're figuring out how to present, it's always a good idea to consider the points of connection between you and the company. So you may actually have a varied presentation depending on which company you're meeting with. That's a very good way to approach this. Some common questions just to get you warmed up and to figure out ways to approach your questions for a company might be asking what the top skills that the company seeks in applicants like yourself, or what makes an applicant stand out. Where do you post openings and when do you have them? Or asking, another clever thing to do is asking for contact info or a way to send a thank you note after the event, which gives you like a potential touch point with that reviewer for future networking, which would be amazing. So, a little bit of a test here. Question, true or false? The only way to connect with a popular company like Meta or Google is by getting on their review schedule. True or false? False. So there are many other ways for you to engage in this process, and the portfolio review presents an opportunity maybe to meet, but more importantly, these companies are thrilled to get connections for future networking post-event. True or false? Meeting with a company that may not be my favorite can still provide me with extremely helpful insights. Yeah. So, of course, we're drawn to some of the big names in these events, but every company that's lining up and giving their time to give you feedback will have something productive and useful to offer to you. I mean, in some ways, the stakes are even lower with companies that you're not that excited about, because they can give you feedback that will help you approach those other companies that you're super excited about. And time and again, we find that students are surprised, they're gladly surprised to learn more about a company, and maybe that improves your perception of them. So it's always good to take part, and that goes along with the theme of applying to companies that are of interest. That could increase your chances of getting a portfolio review. So the follow-up is so important. It's great to send a thank you note or an email or both. And I mean that like sending mail, like in the mail, can be a dimensional barrier that is not often broken. And so that can be really memorable for the company and help you to make an impression on them. Connecting on LinkedIn is very important. Most everyone is on LinkedIn. It's a great way to make connections. And Instagram, to a degree, if they are active on Instagram, that can be helpful. Keeping in touch is more than just making that connection. It's actually like looking for different times, maybe every couple months, where you can check in with this new connection. Maybe send them an update of your work, or something that you're working on, or some new development, or congratulations for a new product release that a company's made that you noticed. And reaching out to reviewers who participated, especially your fellow RISD alums, they may be more inviting to you than others. You can share enthusiasm for their work and tell them how your interests relate to theirs, and inquire about opportunities. And as I had mentioned before, we will post the list of company representatives with any information that they've elected to share with you. And this will be published on the 14th, the day after design review, and that will be on the 14th. And if we're looking at what this outreach might look like, this is just like kind of a quick overview of using LinkedIn in an effective manner. You could look up a person on LinkedIn who you may have seen participated in portfolio reviews. Maybe you met with them, maybe you didn't, doesn't matter. And you could send them an invitation with a personal note. And so this note is very short and sweet, but it's a great way to just give context. So here you could be saying something like, thanks for participating in the portfolio review. I'm a huge fan of Apple, and although I was unable to meet with you, I'm hoping to connect on LinkedIn. Thanks for considering, and take care.
I just wanna note that you can run out of LinkedIn notes that you can send, so just be wary of that when you're sending those to people.
But you can also get like free, like not free, but like the premium membership for a shorter amount of time. So I think after the portfolio review, soon after, get the free days limit, and then you can send it to everyone.
Yeah, no, I would recommend just personally, the premium is expensive, and I appreciate your point. You can run a trial and then just cancel it before you need to pay any money. But even as a career advisor where I'm on LinkedIn a lot, I actually haven't run into that limit, but it's totally cool that you did because it means that you're a power user, so respect. But just do keep in mind, like, you can probably wait until you hit that limit and then consider what your options are at that time. Certainly by like reaching out to folks that are just participating in design review, you will not hit that limit.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Good work, really. So we have drop-ins available, and the drop-ins run from Mondays and Fridays from 9 to 1, and then Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 11 to 1. And we're also going to have, and this is on the website, we're going to have extended drop-ins on the day, let's see, this is the day, okay, so when we publish the lottery and we send out the results, that's a Friday, March 8th. That day we're gonna be open 9 to 3 instead of just 9 to 1. And then the following Monday, again, we're gonna be open 9 to 3. Just trying to give a little bit extra time to support, before the event. And so this is where we hit the Q&A section of the presentation. Any questions after everything we've been through with this presentation? Yeah.
So they get let's say I was accepted, they have my CV, and I have not created a a portfolio that is uploaded somewhere, I just have it as a PDF. So would it make sense for me to really fast do that? Or is it fine to say, hey, actually I would like to share my screen? Because you said some maybe prefer to.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So you can expect, in most cases, you will be sharing your screen
Okay.
whether you sent along a portfolio or not. And to answer your question, if you apply with a resume, no portfolio link, that isn't ideal, but you have that time. You will be meeting with a reviewer and you will share your screen.
Yeah. But let's say will the office really have looked at all the portfolios in advance? Probably not,
See,
right?
now that's another good question. So, I mean, ideally, these folks are checking out your work in advance.
Yeah.
But some of them are extremely busy and they may just be like winging it on the fly, and they're also very good at that. You know, they'll be able to just look at your work and give you feedback like stream of consciousness. It'll be great. But some will check out your work in advance. You never know what to expect.
I just wanted to share to Maya's question that I recently interviewed and the interviewer saw my website, but they asked me to personally like walk them through 2 of my favorite projects.
Yep.
So I think that's a good opportunity. If you have a PDF, you should also prepare the work you would want to
Yeah.
present to them.
Yeah, and you know why they do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So they want to hear your thought process. They will get more information out of you if they make you make the selection. And it's not that it's right or wrong, it's just hearing your reasoning. And it's probably a quicker way for them to rely on you to connect the dots than for them to. Yeah, thanks for making that point. That's awesome.
So for the portfolio sample or the URL that we provided in artworks, are they going to be seen by the reviewers or are they only for like completing our profiles?
Oh, great question. Well, so each application, each OCI application, you're the boss. You choose what that application sees. So each application could be different. You might send your resume, like resume version 2 and one portfolio sample to this company. And then another company you might send resume version 3 and no portfolio sample. Totally up to you. And while we're talking about this, let's say you make an update to resume number 2, but you already used it for like 3 different applications. It does not automatically update. So if you make an update to a resume after you've made applications, you'll want to go to each application that you used it for and just do an update on that. Okay?
So I'm wondering, so in the interview, should I mention that, like, the question like, if you are going to offer like any internship during the summer, or like the interview is sort of just for the portfolio review, like this is something that you mentioned in the following up emails.
Great question. You can totally ask if there's opportunities available. That will not be surprising to the company, and I'm sure that it's very common for them to hear that question. And that's quick to get out too. Like, you're not necessarily compromising your 15 minutes to get a portfolio review to like sneak in a 15-second question about like, do you have any opportunities available coming up this summer? So definitely recommend it, but maybe leave it near the end.
So to my understanding, the interview process will be like, you can be going to the room and then like sort of do self-introduction, like I present my portfolio and then explain my passions, like maybe my career goals, my pitch, and then like I will be able to get feedback from them, and then towards the end, I could like sort of asking for if we're offering like internship opportunities or like how can I connect with you after this, like just sort of like in a general this process.
Yes, I think that is a fair outline of your agenda. And maybe I just didn't hear so much about, taking the reviewer through your work, which will either be presenting 2 different projects, let's say, that you think are relevant to their work, or if they request to see a project, you're taking them through your work. But yes, that sounds really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so I appreciate everyone's time tonight. You may have noticed we tend to send emails from the Career Center, so please don't ignore these emails. Give them a look. We will be sending updates frequently for the design portfolio review from here on out. So we're hoping to lead you through this process step by step and send helpful reminders before signups open and before they close. And if you have any questions, please come and see us through drop-ins or send us an email. be glad to help.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.